this is Sabika Sayyad and welcome to the Print Headlines. Trinamool Congress MP Prakash Chigbarik resigns from Rajya Sabha. In another jolt to the Trinamool Congress, its third Rajya Sabha member, Prakash Chigbarik, resigned from the upper house and also from the party organization today. Prakash said, and I quote, "I will work as per CM Shuvendu Adhikari's instructions in the future. I will work for the development." Barik, who was also a minister in the cabinet of former Chief Minister Mamta Banerjee, submitted his resignation letter to the Vice President CP Radhakrishnan today morning. However, he did not specify any reason behind the decision. Abhishek Banerjee appears before CID in signature forgery case. Trinamool Congress National General Secretary Abhishek Banerjee appeared today before the West Bengal CID to face questions in the signature forgery case over the party's choice of LOP in the State Assembly. Banerjee had skipped 3 previous appearance notices before the investigating agency sleuths, citing illness and his filing of a challenge petition before the Calcutta High Court. Calcutta High Court had directed TMC General Secretary Abhishek Banerjee to appear before the CID in the Bidhan Sabha signature scam probe today. The High Court also granted a 3-week interim protection to Banerjee, directing that the CID cannot take any coercive action as long as he cooperates with the investigation. Shatrughan Sinha vows support for Mamta Banerjee amid allegations of joining rebel group of TMC. Amid speculation that he will join the rebel group of the TMC, Lok Sabha MP Shatrughan Sinha has released a statement vouching his support for former West Bengal Chief Minister Mamta Banerjee. Lok Sabha MP Shatrughan Sinha said, and I quote, "My principle is very clear. When Mamta ji stood by me in my difficult times, it is now my duty to stand by her in this moment as well." Supreme Court of India to hear Meenakshi Natarajan's plea against rejection of Rajya Sabha candidature tomorrow. The Supreme Court will hear tomorrow a plea filed by Congress leader Meenakshi Natarajan challenging the rejection of her nomination papers for the Rajya Sabha election in Madhya Pradesh. A bench of Justices Prashant Kumar Mishra and A.S. Chandorkar agreed to take up the matter following an oral request by senior advocate Abhishek Manu Singhvi. The bench, however, declined to grant any interim relief, preventing the declaration of the election result, observing that courts should ordinarily not intervene once the electoral process has commenced. Delhi High Court quashes NewsClick FIR ED money laundering case. The Delhi High Court quashed an FIR registered against digital news platform NewsClick and its founder Prabir Purkayastha, holding that the allegations relating to foreign direct investment, share valuation and expenditure of funds did not disclose offences of cheating or criminal breach of trust. In a judgment delivered on May 29, Justice Neena Bansal Krishna quashed the FIR registered by the Economic Offences Wing on August 26, 2020, observing that even if all allegations in the complaint were accepted at face value, the essential ingredients of the offences were not made out. In the Malviya Nagar BNB fire case, court sends owner and accountant to 12-day judicial custody. A Delhi court has remanded the owner and accountant of Malviya Nagar BNB facility to 12 days of judicial custody in the case where the BNB facility was gutted in fire on June 3, leaving 22 dead. Judicial Magistrate Bhanu Pratap Singh of Saket Court ordered the judicial custody on an application moved by the Delhi police, which is investigating the circumstances leading to the fatal fire. The police had earlier arrested the two, alleging violations related to fire safety measures and regulatory compliance at the hotel. Higher ethanol-blended petrol between 22 to 30% exempted from central excise duty. With a potential eye to popularize the uptake of biofuels in the country, the government exempted the levy of central excise duty on petrol blended with greater quantum of ethanol, that is 22 to 30%. In other words, petrol blended with ethanol at 22%, 25%, 27% and 30% would be exempt from central excise duties. Kerala on Nipah alert after Kozhikode man's preliminary test turns positive. A 43-year-old man with encephalitis symptoms is undergoing treatment at the Government Medical College Hospital in Kozhikode, Kerala, even as authorities are awaiting the lab results of his body fluid samples sent to the National Institute of Virology, Pune for Nipah infection. The patient is from Firoke in Kozhikode. The preliminary test for Nipah virus infection at the MCH returned positive, officials said today. 1 year to the Air India crash, Air India staff to observe 2-minute silence tomorrow. Air India staff will observe a 2-minute silence at their workstations tomorrow as a mark of respect for those who passed away in the fatal crash of its plane on June 12 last year. The airline said in an email to the staff, and I quote, "Employees may observe this moment at their workstations Those at airport check-in counters or engaged in essential ground or flight duties may continue their responsibilities as required. Three Indian sailors killed in US strike near Oman as US and Iran exchanged fire. The US military carried out a precision strike on a vessel in the Gulf of Oman that failed to follow its instructions and was carrying oil from Iran. US CENTCOM said the US military carried out a precision strike on a vessel in the Gulf of Oman that failed to follow its instructions and was carrying oil from Iran. India said three Indian seafarers were missing after the attack on the tanker. India today confirmed the deaths of all three missing crew members after the US military strike. New Delhi also lodged a strong protest with Washington. The US military's Central Command said a US aircraft fired precision munitions into the ship's engine room after the crew repeatedly failed to comply with directions from American forces. It said it disabled the Palau-flagged oil products tanker Setebello as it transited the Gulf of Oman, adding that it had violated the ongoing blockade by attempting to transport oil from Iran. India has reportedly summoned the US Deputy Chief of Mission to the country after lodging a strong protest to the strike. Trump says US will be hitting Iran very hard tonight. US President Donald Trump says that the US will be striking Iran very hard today, adding, I quote, "At some point in the not too distant future, we will be taking Kharg Island and other oil infrastructure points and assume total control of their oil and gas markets." A day after the US forces attacked tanker Setebello, another vessel, MV Jalveer, was attacked under similar circumstances near Oman today. This is the third such incident in 4 days. US military strikes multiple targets in Iran in second day of renewed fire. The US military said early today that it had completed its latest round of airstrikes targeting Iran after President Donald Trump warned that Tehran would pay the price for stalled negotiations. The US Central Command issued a statement saying its forces targeted Iranian military surveillance capabilities, communication systems, and air defense sites across Iran. It did not elaborate on the damage done by the strikes, which it said had been carried out by the US Air Force, Marines, and Navy. Iran says will target any vessel traffic in Strait of Hormuz after US strikes in latest escalation. US CENTCOM said in a social media post that the military is striking multiple targets in Iran. Iran's military command said today it will target any ship transiting the Strait of Hormuz after it struck two vessels attempting to pass through the strategic waterway. According to Tasneem news agency, Khatam al-Anbiya command said, and I quote, "Any vessel traffic through the Strait of Hormuz will be targeted," adding that the strait is now completely closed to all types of vessels. UK Defence Secretary John Healey-Quits says government isn't willing to spend enough on military. British Defence Secretary John Healey resigned today, saying the government is not willing to spend enough on the military at a time of rising threat. Publication of the Defence Investment Plan has been delayed amid reports of disagreement between the Defence Ministry and the Treasury. Healey told Prime Minister Keir Starmer that the government's Defence Investment Plan falls well short of what is required at this dangerous time. Taiwan says its sovereignty cannot be violated as China ends Coast Guard patrol. Taiwan's Coast Guard said, and I quote, "Taiwan's maritime sovereignty cannot be violated by Chinese efforts to create a false impression of jurisdiction." China's patrol ended after China inspected 198 passing vessels and rectified violations involving 3 ships. China, which claims democratically governed Taiwan as its own territory, was angered after Japan and the Philippines said last month they would begin formal talks on their maritime boundaries, viewing that as involving waters off of Taiwan. Philippine town seeks immediate airlift of food to ease hunger in quake-hit villages. The mayor of a southern Philippine town that was devastated by a powerful earthquake pleaded today for helicopters to transport food to stave off hunger in several landslide-isolated villages. The 7.8 magnitude offshore quake, one of the strongest to hit the Philippine archipelago in a half-century, struck on Monday off the southern province of Sarangani and has left at least 47 people dead and injured 688, with 31 still missing. Sarangani reported 20 dead from the quake, the highest toll from the affected provinces, mostly due to a landslide that buried houses. Canada introduces bill to restrict social media access for under 16s. Canada has introduced a digital safety bill that would restrict access to social media platforms for children under the age of 16, while allowing companies to seek exemptions if they can demonstrate adequate safeguards for young users. Bill C-34, introduced by Canadian Identity and Culture Minister Mark Miller, is the latest attempt by the Canadian government to create a legal framework to address online harms. According to an official statement, the proposed legislation would also regulate artificial intelligence chatbot services such as ChatGPT and introduce new safety requirements for online platforms. Elon Musk's XAI accused of illegally firing engineer who raised safety concerns. A former engineer at Elon Musk's XAI, who now heads a think tank focused on AI safety, filed a lawsuit claiming he was fired from the SpaceX subsidiary for raising concerns about the risks artificial intelligence poses to humanity. Devin Kin claims in the lawsuit filed in California State Court on Tuesday that his efforts to place guardrails on the development of the chatbot Grok made him a target for company leadership. Google and Meta denied new trial in youth social media addiction case. A California state court judge has denied motions by Meta Platforms and Google's YouTube, seeking a new trial after a jury found the company is liable for designing social media platforms that are harmful to young people. Los Angeles Superior Court Judge Carolyn Cole ruled on the motions according to court documents. The companies had sought a new trial in a lawsuit filed by a woman who said she had become addicted to Google's YouTube and Meta's Instagram at a young age because of their attention-grabbing design. A jury found the companies negligent and imposed $6 million in damages. The Social Reckoning trailer first look at Aaron Sorkin's Facebook sequel starring Jeremy Strong as Mark Zuckerberg. Sony Pictures has released the first trailer for The Social Reckoning, Aaron Sorkin's long-awaited follow-up to The Social Network, offering a glimpse at a new chapter in the story of Facebook and its controversial influence on modern society. Set more than a decade after the events depicted in the 2010 Oscar-winning drama, the film centers on the fallout from the Facebook Files investigation and the disclosures made by former Facebook employee Frances Haugen. Rather than revisiting the company's founding years, the sequel examines the scrutiny faced by the social media giant as concerns mounted over misinformation, user safety, and the platform's effect on public discourse. That's all we have for you today. We'll be back tomorrow with the latest.